I can't spend the rest of my days like working on myself. It's just so interesting. Like this childlike version of me is like trying to keep making like choices within my life, and I honestly feel like it's holding me back, or maybe it's pushing me forward. I can't really tell what is good for me or whether I'm settling. So I can't really decide in the moment, but I have to make a choice. Either I let this childlike version that wants the nurturing and all this protectiveness and all this, I let that side thrive, or I thrive in the mature spirit that I've developed myself. And they both are mostly equally conscious in a sense, and they both there. The only unconscious thing about me is the fact that I'm hindering between the two. Like, which one is more powerful? Of course, I'm definitely not going to choose the childlike over the mature side, but then at the same time, I can't let the childlike overcome the mature side. So it has to be a death involved. Like, it has to be an emotional and a psychological and a spiritual death involved. And it's basically the real me versus the developed me. And that's where it boils down to. It's my true self versus the self I work hard to be. And it's like I have to choose between the two. I'm gonna be honest. It feels great having my true self develop and dwell within my heart, but then also being able to mask myself with the self I developed. Because the childlike version is the one that finds dots and connections and projections with people. And it runs from me. It runs from the solitude. It runs from growing up. So it clings itself invisibly to somebody. And then I start seeing things within a person and seeing my own true self within them. So then it makes me have to go through that person just to find myself. So it makes me come to a point where it's like, what am I really doing? Like, am I really trying to actually like somebody, honestly? Or is it that child version of me that's still yearning to be like, to still be held and dwelled with someone? But then the mature, developed soul of mine is more so it's like, we could do this alone. Like, I know you, I believe in you. We could do this alone. We've done it. We could do it. Because that part of me is more so the part that's like, if we are going to deal with someone, it can't be someone that's living in the same childlike version that we kind of dealing with. And it can't be anyone that's encouraging that version. Like, if you're going to deal with somebody, you got to be somebody that's going to reflect the mature side, the mature soul, and push us forward. But if you keep dealing with the childlike versions of other consciousnesses, then it's only going to encourage the childlike version of me to still come forth, because now it has enough confidence and juice to actually proceed and to come forward. And that's the part we don't want to deal with. And then it's this, at the same time, it's like, do we cut everything off for these complete versions and push forward, and then also something else arrives. Now it's another version of me that's particularly unknown, that I've never truly really experienced, but I know what it's actually like. And then it boils down to me actually really trusting myself to actually be alone and to really fulfill all our visions and dreams. That's what it really comes down to. So if it gets to that sense where it's like, which one are you going to choose? Is it either you're going to choose a childlike version that wants everybody to love it and nurture it, and it could connect to anything. It could easily connect itself to anything and see potential and brightness and beauty and bring that out of someone. And I think that's a specialness to it as well. Why I haven't just destroyed it, because it could actually help someone. Like, I'm actually helping the world. I'm actually being able to pour significance into others by sharing that beauty that's in me with them and bringing out something greater within them. But then at the same time, their childlike version is more so matter of fact, not even their childlike version, more so of their defense version is more so like still fearful, still don't trust it, still don't want it because it's addicted to the hurt. It's become addicted to only being hurt. So when it has an overflow of something not hurting it, that's kind of a trigger for it, because it encourages the childlike version of them that actually really wants to be nurtured, that actually really wants to dwell with someone else. And it encourages that side. But when that side is coming forth, they fear that side taking over because they fear that they don't know what happened. So it's an unknown version that also pops into them as well, because they feel like, can I really trust myself fully to fully trust someone else, to fully allow them to nurture me? Because that's what it's really doing. When you put the childlike version inside someone else's hand, they basically become, in a sense, your spiritual parent. They become your parent. They have the power to shape you and raise you. So if you putting yourself in someone else's hand, it's like you're giving them your whole entire life. And I think that's truly the scary part, is because they don't know what someone else might do. And they may have think they've done it with their previous experiences and previous relationships. Oh, I trusted this person to do this and that, and they hurt me. But you didn't really put yourself in basically a harm's way. You didn't really put yourself in a position to actually really be hurt. See, what you did was another version of you, right? Your defense version made the choice for you to deal with that version of someone else. So what you was really dealing with was yourself. You wasn't really dealing with that other person. So all the things they did to you may have, whether it be draining you physically, financially, psychologically, whatever it was, all those material factors, they actually set you free. They broke the conditions that was holding you bondage, that was holding you in a bondage, that was holding you in a bind. They actually helped break that out of you. And yeah, it's hurt. Yeah, if that person may have put their hands on you, yeah, it may have hurt you. Yeah, they might have broke your trust. Yeah, they might have broke your spirit, broke your mind, whatever you want to call it, but they've broken you free. You just can't identify with that freedom at that point, but they've broken you free from a condition. But when you get on with the situation, which you're never supposed to do, you're never supposed to just move on, you move through it. You actually skip out gaining that perception. So when you just move on and thinking, oh, I'm going to just go here and do here, and I'm going to heal and do this, you miss the chance and the opportunity of gaining that special perception of realizing that they broke you free from something. So now another version of you becomes the dominant version. And now you're basically still in the state where you can't trust, you can't eat emotionally because you don't want to give or have anything given to you because you don't know where it's coming from or you don't know how to receive it. So you only identify with hurt and pain. So if anything doesn't come with hurt and pain because you're so comfortable, you become so addicted and comfortable with that anything that doesn't come with that, almost in a sense, isn't really feeding you. So I've been on the opposite side where I've overflowed and given the greatness and the goodness, and it's been perceived as something different because they didn't gain that special perception, because they always moved on and didn't move through things. It's only been perceived as it's too much because it doesn't have a fault in it. Like, you're just giving me and pouring all these things in me, but it don't have a fault in it. It doesn't have a damage to it. And that's what's the issue. It doesn't have damage to it. So now it either comes off as it's too good to be true, or I feel unworthy, or I feel like I'm just not good enough for this thing. And that's what and that's how the person perceives that I'm making them feel. Or making them feel belittled because I'm pouring so much of things that they should be having onto them without damage. So it's making them feel belittled. But if I was to pour that with damage, it would make them feel what they would say balanced. But since I'm tipping the scale, it's like too much, Even tipping the scale, you put in tons of bricks on one side and a feather on another side. You tip over the scales like this is too much. And that's exactly how they feel, because they only lived in a place where too much was too much. Too much goodness was too much, and less was enough. That's where they come from, where less is enough and too much was too much. So them having less is enough. I know how to handle it. I know how to deal with it. I know how to get through this. I know how to rebuild. I know how to heal. I know how to recover. And that's what they're comfortable with. So I basically settle that to confide and vent, and basically say that I'm going to make a choice. I want to choose to be mature. I want to choose to grow up. I want to choose to die in the spiritual sense, to finally not just let go, but to kill the childlike version of me, the true self, because it doesn't serve me anymore. And that's the choice that I have to make. Because if I don't do that, I'll forever be a child. And I won't ever grow up. I'll be stuck in the past for eternity, with no hope for a future. And I would rather die than to be stuck. Thank you for listening.